Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Valentine's Day Tarot Tuesday special. Today, we're going to be doing some relationship questions, and then I'm going to be opening up to general questions and readings, and then we're going to finish with a chakra reading today. And before we get started, I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping and just share. So some people may want to know, my main website is the one coming up on the screen right now, choosetoplaybig.com. So if you ever want to find out about me, about the tarot shows or anything else I do, you can find out there. Also, for those who don't know, I do also a weekly just general reading, normally in the sort of just after lunchtime, my time. And that normally goes out on Rumble and ThreeSpeak, which is part of the Hive ecosystem. And if you want to check out my weekly readings, you can check out my Rumble channel here. So this is another outlet where there's more tarot that I'm doing, but it's a pre-recorded short video around 15 minutes that I do once a week. And for those of you who haven't seen that yet, and haven't seen any of the other posts about it, I'm making these live streams fortnightly because I'm on a music course right now, and every other week it clashes with this time slot. And I also want to reduce how much I'm spending on other projects so that I can actually focus on the course. But I am planning to continue doing these live streams fortnightly, and the weekly reading, a short weekly reading. So you're welcome to check those out. And if you ever want to just know about when the next show is or any more information, then you can go to my main website, but you can also go to this link, which is directly to the Tarot Show website. So you can find out when the next one's scheduled and things like that. So so that's the main housekeeping. Now, because today is Valentine's Day, I thought I would start with a couple of relationship questions, and then that will give people time to think about if they have a question, or perhaps something gets sparked in their mind as they're listening, and you can put them in the chat, and I will get to them once I've done these two questions that I'm about to do. So if something pops in your mind, just put it in the chat now. That's totally fine, and I'll try and get back to it when we come round. And then when we open up, it doesn't have to be a relationship question. It could be anything. It could be a personal question. It could be something that's going on in the world and you kind of want more information, or it could just be a general reading to check in and see what Spirit has to say for you. So you can just ask for that in the chat at any time, and I'll work my way through it as best I can. So today we're going to start with a question, because this year is going to be quite a big year for relationships, astrologically speaking. So it made sense to maybe start with a couple of general questions for us all. And I've been looking into how best to do this, and I looked at lots of different relationship spreads, but I've noticed one part of a spread that really called to me, and I thought I would use that part in my reading today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with a Spirit Animal Oracle deck for these two questions I'm about to do, and I'm going to lay 4 cards, and the cards will relate to what can we do physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually in relation to these questions. So the first question that I'm going to do is, how can we best welcome in new relationships this year? So obviously with relationships, it can be new or it can be existing. So I'm going to do a question on new and existing relationships. So we're going to start with new relationships this year. So I'm going to just move the other decks out of the way. And for those of you who have not seen me, I shuffle until basically my gut tells me to stop. So sometimes it takes me a little while to shuffle. In my weekly readings, I fast forward this, but obviously I can't do that in live streams. So bear with me until I get told when to stop shuffling. So How can we best welcome in new relationships this year, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? Okay, it wants to stop right there. Okay, so that's pretty quick. So I'm going to lay these down, face down to begin with, and then I'll turn them over. Got so much stuff on my table. So let's just move this out of the way a little bit. Okay, all right. Just pop this here. So we're going to start with physically. How best can we welcome in new relationships physically? Yeah, so we got koala spirit. Spirit has a plan, which is interesting for physically. So now these cards I'm still getting to know. So I usually try to just feel into them first. And then if I want to, I will either look up the description or I could even pull a couple of tarot cards, depending on what feels right. So this feels like this might be a trust issue. So maybe when we're very physical and in the physical world or the 3D world, however you want to describe it, we can forget about the fact that there is a plan sort of behind the scenes, you know. And so I feel like we need to trust spirit, that there is a way forward, and it doesn't matter if we don't see that yet. And just because something is not in the physical realm around us doesn't mean it's actually not on its way. So quite often when we're really in need or really wanting a new relationship, it's like we get impatient and, you know, maybe, get kind of annoyed with the way things are working out or whatever the case may be, rather than just taking a step back and just moving forward with your life step by step and just trusting that when that magical moment happens, that it's going to happen because it's all been orchestrated by spirit anyway. So I feel like the best way for us to welcome a new relationship physically into our life is to trust that we've made these agreements and that spirit will bring the right people to us when we need to. So I'm going to leave that one there. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit all of these into my card reader, so I'll just leave them here for now. So this one is emotionally. How can we best welcome in new relationships emotionally? So we get crow spirit, which says co-create with spirit. So, so I feel that in order to bring someone, to work with our emotional being, our emotional body, to be ready to bring in a new relationship, we need to be thinking about what it is that we want, and be part of the co-creation process by really getting clear what it is that we want, what we're not willing to tolerate, and maybe also examining, is this really what I want, or is there actually issues with that that I'm just not seeing? Could I actually want something else that I can't imagine right now? So maybe exploring and playing. Yeah, and also I think because crows, I know that ravens are very healing, but it could be that we need to also look at healing ourselves so that we're not co-creating something that is repeating a pattern or attracting something negative. So we have to maybe examine how we are co-creating with spirit when we emotionally are trying to make space for a new relationship. So that's what I'm getting with this one. I can see someone's put something in the chat. Hi, Vocal Swati. Nice to see you. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to be getting more to the chat a little bit later, but it's good to see you. So you're very welcome to be here as I'm doing this tarot reading. And it'll be open for questions later if you want. So the next one we have is, how can we best welcome in new relationships mentally? And we get Coyote Spirit, trust in divine detours. So I think when we're in our head, we can get very sort of mapping out how things might go. We can get very strategic. We can get very in the ego with things. And sometimes life takes us on little detours in order to learn things to prepare us for what it is that we actually want. But it could seem like we're going backwards, or it could seem like we're going sideways in a tangent. And so sometimes I think what we have to do to prepare us mentally is actually see the value in everything that presents in our lives every day. To come to the end of the day, go into bed, knowing that what happened today was supposed to happen, and actually seeing the value in it and seeing the joy if you can, or at least seeing the medicine in it. So I think we need to not get too stuck in plans or perhaps wishful thinking or things like that, and just observe what's unfolding in front of us and try to relate that to how that might bring us to what we want. And even if we can't do it, just trusting that it will eventually. Because quite often with hindsight, we could say, well, thank God that happened, because otherwise I just wouldn't have been ready for this curveball that happened later, or whatever the case may be. So I think what we have to do is not get too lost in fantasy and in the sense of requiring things to happen in a certain way. I think with this card, we are being asked to co-create, which does require some imagination. So there's a fine line here. So I think we need to co-create. We need to really get clear about what we want emotionally, but not get too trapped mentally in defining how things come to us and the form that they come to us. Because sometimes we can say we want something, but we frame it in a way that makes it very narrow. So you're basically saying, I want this, but I only want this in this form. But the universe can think of a multitude of forms in which it could come to you. So I think maybe finding that fine line between knowing what you want, but not getting so specific that you almost rule out all possibility. And I can see Annalise is in the chat. So hi, Annalise. It's good to see you there. And then finally, how can we best welcome in new relationships spiritually this year? So, oh, wow. Okay, so we get Cow Spirit. The miracles are endless. So, again, this kind of comes back to this one here, which was physically, spirit has a plan, and to not, again, limit yourself into the form in which it comes to you. Spirit can do so much, and there's so much going on behind the scenes with every one of us, and so things that may seem impossible are totally possible. It's just that you may not be able to connect the dots and see things as spirit can, and see the orchestration that's bringing to you what you want. It may seem totally out of reach, but actually there could be 1,000 ways in which it could come to you. So I think remembering that miracles are possible, that the opportunities that get you where you want to go are out there in, many different ways. So that you don't lose hope spiritually, or you don't get lost in feeling like you're not worthy of what you're really looking for, what you really need. And actually know that, no, this is what I want, and I know it's possible. And then just trusting that there is a plan that's going to get you there. And there may be detours along the way, but it's all the possibilities are out there. So, oh wow, that's a beautiful little reading there. So we had koala spirit, crow spirit, coyote spirit, and cow spirit. Lovely. So I'm going to move on now to the next question, which is similar. It's, how can we best heal our existing relationships this year? Because many relationships have been, tested over the last few years. And also we've all, I'm sure, had experiences where we've had difficult relationships, whether it's a family member or a friend or a partner or a spouse or something like that. So sometimes we need to do a bit of healing. Sometimes that healing requires actually getting closure and letting something go so that something new can happen, or for you to get what you want in another way. And sometimes it's about healing and bringing those bridges back together so that you're actually in each other's lives, or more in a deeper relationship. So I'm going to now reshuffle, and we're going to do the same layout, but for this question. So make sure I did it the right way. Yeah, okay. So, how can we best heal our existing relationships this year? There we go. All right. All right. Okay. So again, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So how can we best heal our existing relationships this year, physically, in the physical? So we get cat spirit, claim your independence. So I think in the physical, maybe this year, being our sovereign and authentic self is going to be very important. And perhaps, it's going to, in some ways, heal in places where in the past it wouldn't have. So I think with cat spirit, we're being asked to go our own way in our lives, and when we're with people, to maybe not shy away from speaking our mind, and hiding who we are, and if it means that a relationship just isn't working anymore, to be willing to part ways, or to take a break, or do whatever it needs to for you. Sometimes relationships have an expiry date. They have a purpose, and once that purpose has been reached, people part ways, or the relationship fades somehow, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that happens. But I think what we're being asked to be is to make sure that we are ourselves in our relationships, and to not be afraid of what other people might think, or whether it's going to necessarily damage a relationship or hiding ourselves. I think we have to be willing to be ourselves in our relationships now, and if that works, then that's great. And we may find there's a turnaround. Maybe we're having a time where that's valued more. Perhaps people need that more. For our, people who are willing to be themselves, people who are willing to be authentic, to dare to be vulnerable, So, excuse me, I need to take some water. So, I think in the physical realm, we need to make sure that we are ourselves. So let's go to the next one. Excuse me. So this is emotionally. How can we best heal our existing relationships this year emotionally? And we get be the spirit, lay a solid foundation. So for me, this brings up two things. I think this may bring up our own emotional healing and feeling into what it is that we need as a foundation in a relationship. But also, I think this means the emotional connection of a relationship. So the working out the fundamentals of the relationship, so that you're building on it from a firm foundation and not something shaky or something that is a projection or, an idealized version in our heads of what is really the case. So I think we need to make sure that our relationships are solid and firm if we're going to emotionally invest in them. All right. And so this is, how can we best heal our existing relationships this year mentally? And we get dog spirit. I love dog spirit. Be loyal to what you love. So rather than getting caught up in shoulds and what is this person going to say or think or whatever, I think we just need to know, what is it that we love? Who do we want to have our connections with? And making sure that, when we know that, we're just really dedicated to it. So if there's a relationship that you're having doubts about, or you feel like one moment it feels this way and another moment it feels this way, and you're not really committed in a way, perhaps you've got one foot in and one foot out. I think this is maybe, a year to really decide, is this something I really want to be involved in or not? And if it is, to really go in and commit to it, so that we're not in this mindset of trying to second guess ourselves. If somebody is doing your head in, or you're kind of doing your own head in because of a relationship, then maybe it needs to be examined and considered whether it's worth the sacrifice, and if it is, to see if you can get clarity on it so that you're not ruminating in a way that's detrimental to you or the relationship. So this is probably a year for really working out, what are we going to commit to this year? What are we not? What is time to let go of, or redefine. Sometimes there are old relationships that haven't had any attention, and sometimes they need some attention to see if this is going to heal, if it's going to move forward. So it's probably going to need some real deep investigation mentally for us to examine, is this what I want? Is this can this move forward in a way, or investigating, experimenting, see, can we have a discussion about this? Can we do this? Or is that just not possible? And then therefore I feel like that, that's not going to work for me, things like that. But if you are saying, look, it may be difficult or whatever, but I want this to work and I'm willing to work for it, then it needs to be all in this year and just going for it. sometimes we sit on the sidelines with things because we're worried that what if it doesn't work, or what if I get hurt, or things like that. And I think sometimes you just have to take the leap. So otherwise you just go round and round in your head and you don't know how to figure out what you want, So all right, so that's mentally. And then lastly, how can we best heal our existing relationships this year spiritually? So, oh wow, we get lion spirit. Oh, I haven't had that card yet since I got it. And it says, be generous of spirit. So, what this feels to me is we need to be, kind and compassionate to one another as we're healing our relationships. It could be that whatever started a rift or a problem or something, had an origin, and perhaps you can map it and you can understand it. But sometimes it's, sometimes the best thing is to just let it go, and to find ways to be kind to the person, even if you don't see eye to eye. There's sometimes we have relationships and it's like, maybe you're not in the same wavelength, maybe there's friction there, but for some reason, perhaps like with a family situation, that you can't totally avoid them, right? So sometimes being willing to just do small acts of kindness can just go a long way to really just smoothing the way. Because some things don't take a lot. Sometimes it's just a smile, or saying a kind word, or just being willing to stay calm in a situation when you've been a bit triggered, by something somebody said, or, an unexpected gift, or anything where, a little effort could go a long way in, a kind and compassionate and generous way. And sometimes those little things can actually really have huge transformational effects. Some people it won't land, and there are some people that you're never going to be able to please, and no matter what you do. But sometimes you can do small things that prevent it getting much worse than there has to be. So I feel that, and lions they have great strength to them, and power. And I think it's asking us to be like the strength card in tarot. That's coming to a place of soul evolution, which is hard fought for. You had, it was not easy, but you took the almost the longer, difficult route, but you are much more stronger and you've grown so much for it. And I always think of that with the lion. And so I think we're being asked to have a bit of courage and a bit of strength, inner grit, to deal with some of our difficult relationships, just so that we can start the healing process and just seeing where it goes. There might be a limit to how far the healing will go. But if some healing happens, it's better than nothing, and it may mean that, rather than burning your bridges and never speaking to one another again, it means that there is less tension in the relationship. And, it can be what it is. Sometimes our relationships are not what we hope for, but they're still a part of our lives. And so, not getting caught up in our the difference between our desire for what we want out of a relationship and the actuality can mean that we create friction. And I think if we can just take a step back, take a deep breath, and think, how can I do a small act of kindness, send a little love into this so that it doesn't blow up, so it could be a little easier. So I think that that's what Lion Spirit is telling us here today. So, wow, absolutely beautiful. So I'm quite happy with this. I haven't done this spread before, but I got a very strong intuitive guidance to do it this way, and I'm quite happy of the way it worked out. So I see that we don't have any questions yet in the chat, or anybody asking for a general reading yet. But if you would like one, then feel free to put something in, and I will do a reading for you. If I don't get any questions soon, then what I'll do is I'll move on to the chakra reading. But while we're waiting, I'm going to just shuffle these cards again, and then I think I'm going to pull one from the Major Arcana deck just to see what general major energies are affecting us right now. So I'm just going to take the question off. So. So what's that one? So let's just have a little look, because I quite like doing this. I didn't really start doing this before the live streams, but since I have this deck, it's just the 22 Major Arcana. That's why it's quite a small deck. But sometimes it's nice to see what archetypal energy is affecting us the most in a particular time. Obviously, archetypal energies work over a long period of time and are about big growth, expansion, or big events, the big stuff. And I just realized my website's called Choose to Play Big, so this is kind of appropriate. So let's see. What archetypal energy, major archetypal energies influences this week? What would Spirit want to tell us about that? Okay. Okay, got two there. Is that one? Yep. All right. Okay, so we get the Hierophant. Now, the Hierophant is interesting because if it's well aspected, and I think I'm going to pull two tarot cards to get some clarification, it could be about spiritual leadership. It could be very sort of, a lot with spiritual leadership and learning. But also it can be about the sort of shadow side of it can be about systematic control. It can be, so it can be, has a negative side to it too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull, and I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to pull two clarifying cards. Put that one there, just so I can understand a little more what this energy, how this energy is affecting us this week. No. There we go. Oh my God. Okay, this is very interesting. I had a feeling that what was going to come up was going to be interesting. So this morning when I did this afternoon, I did my weekly reading on Rumble. And if you want to catch that, then you can go to my Rumble channel here and you can watch it. But I pulled two tarot cards then, and I've just got exactly the same two tarot cards. But in relation to the Hierophant, because obviously I had a different card that I was getting clarity on. So, because these both could be very spiritual. Oh, these could be very spiritual, actually. So, and this could be very much about following your heart, listening to your heart. And I did get in the monthly, what's it called? The monthly zodiac spread that I did last time I did a live stream. I did get that one of the messages was, because we got the Hierophant then, was that the heart was going to be the greatest teacher. And it's very interesting because I didn't think about it at the time about Valentine's Day and relationships. And now that I've done these spreads, it feels like there's a lot about our spiritual side and our emotional relationship side that's coming up right now. So I'm getting the same kind of vibe that our hearts can be our greatest teacher, but there's also the high priestess, which could be very could be about secrets. It could be about things that are hidden. It could be that there's something hidden in yourself that's going to come up for processing and teach you stuff this week. So I actually know that I hadn't put two and two together this morning, but that's actually what's happened to me this past week. I've had some stuff that I had no idea was there come up and teach me some incredible things. I won't go into that because it's personal, but so it could be that we're going to have stuff bubbling up that's emotional, that's going to affect us emotionally. It may also affect our relationships, our creativity, and it's going to teach us things. Because these two are pretty well aspecting this Hierophant, so I'm feeling that it's more in the positive sense of this. So I think we're going to learn a lot spiritually this week, and it's going to affect our emotions. It could be quite emotional, actually, but it's also probably going to be very healing. So that feels like the kind of energies that we're dealing with this week. So, yeah. All right. So, since I've done that, and I don't see any questions in the chat, and I'm going to be a bit slow because last time I did this, I was like, okay, I'm going to do the main spread now. And then two people came in and asked questions right at the last minute. So let's see if that happens. And if it doesn't, I'm going to get on with a chakra spread. Now, I'm really excited about this because I've done a chakra spread before, but I haven't done it with this deck. And the other thing that I've done is I've actually written out all of the symptoms, both physically and emotionally, that can be affected when you have an imbalance in a particular chakra. So I'm going to read them out, and then I'm going to have them scroll in the ticker at the bottom so you can see if it applies to you. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you to look at the crystals that I'm going to bring out in a moment. And I'm going to just want you to look at them and see which one you're drawn to, or multiple. If there's multiple ones, it's okay if there's more than one, because you can have more than one chakra that is calling to you for you to listen. So we're going to do that in a minute. I'm just going to set things up, and I usually like to just shuffle my cards again when I've taken cards out, just to change the energy. Okay. All right. So this one is going to be with the Moonology deck. That's what it looks like on the back. Let's make sure it's the right way around. Yeah. Oh, by the way, as I was smudging, I noticed that the root card on this was New Moon in Libra. Know that you are loved, which I thought was very appropriate considering we're talking about relationships today. All right. So, okay. So let's see. Let me just think about what I need here. Let's move these beautiful crystals that my friend Annalise gave me. So I'm going to need, let me just see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I might need a bit more space here. There we go. I think that'll do. So just going to give this a little initial shuffle, just to get the energy flowing in the deck. Okay, so we're going to lay one card for each chakra. And I have these in this little box here. The chakra crystals. And they're all beautiful hearts, which I realized just before I was doing this, that is very appropriate for today. So each one of these relates to a specific chakra. And I'm going to lay one card down with one of these on top. But what I want you to do before we even get into what the symptoms are or anything like that, I'm just going to show you these, and I just want you to look at it and see which ones draw your attention. Doesn't matter why or if you understand, but just see which ones they are and make a note of that. So here we go. And just for those who don't know the chakra system very well, we have the root chakra, the base of the spine, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. So I have just need to close Telegram. So it just popped up. Okay, so just have a little look here and see what jumps out at you. All right. Okay, now that you've worked that out, I'm going to shuffle, and this is just this isn't about relationships. This is a general reading for the collective, for our chakras, and it's a message from spirit for how we can best bring those chakras into balance again right now with the way the energies are right now. So I'll just make sure it's the right way around. So I'm just gonna shuffle for a bit. I think one more. No. No, it's pulling me back again. There we go. Okay. So I am going to go from root to crown. So we'll start here. So I'm just going to put the face down to begin with. I'm just going to take the caption off so that we don't have that in the way. So let me just see. So it's nice these fit just on the full moon in the picture. And finally, all right, so I'll just pop that there. Okay, so before we get going, I just want to check my Telegram 1 second because I was expecting to hear back from someone. Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be affecting what I do here. Okay, So, so let's start with the chakra reading. So, what I've done is I have created a ticker with all of the main symptoms from a site that I researched. So we're going to start with the root chakra. So I want you to pay attention to the crystals that drew you, but I also want you to pay attention to if you have any of these symptoms, because I think you should listen to them as well as what you intuitively were drawn to, because there could be something else that's useful, even if you don't have a symptom in that particular area, right? So I'm going to start with the root chakra, which is the red crystal. So if that was calling to you. And for the root chakra, let's just put it on board now. So the root chakra symptoms include problems in the legs, feet, rectum, tailbone, immune system, male reproductive system, prostate gland, degenerative arthritis, knee pain, sciatica, eating disorders, constipation, and feelings affecting our basic survival needs such as money, shelter, and food. So if any of that sounds relatable to you right now, then I would listen to this even if you weren't drawn to the red crystal. So let's just have a little look. I'm just going to use this as well, so you can see the crystal. Okay. So we get last quarter moon in Taurus. Be proud of yourself. So I think when we're in root chakra problems, quite often, I think I'm just going to pull this here when I'm doing the readings as well, so you can see the card a bit better. Quite often, we can be in self-doubt or self-criticism. We can be in fear, self-esteem issues. And so sometimes being proud of ourselves is a little difficult. And I think if we can really evaluate our achievements realistically, not egotistically or overvaluing it, but see what it is that we are doing, because sometimes we can be doing a lot and we don't realize it. Sometimes we could be under so much pressure and we don't realize it. Modern life in particular, Western life in particular, can be very demanding, and we're so used to it because we've just been brought up in it that sometimes we forget just how demanding it can be sometimes. So I think sometimes we need to pat ourselves a little bit on the back because we got through the day, and if you can get through the day when you're having a hard time, and get what you need done, then that's a win. And sometimes what we need to do is take care of ourselves and be proud of the fact that we can take care of ourselves. Sometimes we can't do that, or there's a lot of people that find self-care really difficult to prioritize. So whatever we're doing, whatever steps we are taking to advance ourselves or to keep our environment going, domestic alchemy, things like that, whatever we are doing to support one another, because we have been talking about relationships, whatever we are doing to find the value in that, sometimes we can think down on ourselves because we feel like what we're doing doesn't matter, or we're just chasing the wheel for the basics. And sometimes that is actually the case. But if you can go through a difficult day and find a way to look after yourself still, that's a win. And when you are taking brave steps, when you are choosing to play big and do something big, like, for example, I'm starting a music recording course, which is a big step for me, to realize that those steps, even though they can seem daunting, and you might be wondering, what the hell am I doing? To be proud of the fact that you are taking the step, And even if it isn't something big like that, but you're making a change perhaps in your attitude or in the way you treat yourself, look after yourself, or how you treat other people. Sometimes making small changes in our attitude and our patterns of behavior can actually be quite big, actually. And the other thing is that if you're doing any kind of clearing work like right now, and a lot of people are and have been for some time, but if you're dealing with like dark night of the soul stuff, just be really proud of yourself that you're at a point where you're ready and able to look at that, because there were times where you couldn't, you know. So, the root chakra is a really deep work, and it can be difficult and it can be deep shadow work. So when we're faced with stuff like that, difficult things in life, facing our shadow selves and our pain and our trauma, that takes a lot of effort. And sometimes our modern life doesn't really allow us time to really do that and recover. So if you're doing that kind of work, just, bravo. Because that will, bear fruit in the future. It's just, it takes some time for it to work through and then for you to be able to see that. But yeah, so interesting message for the root chakra there. So now we're going to move on to the sacral chakra. So I'm going to just change the ticker in a minute. So I'll just read this first so you're not distracted. So the sacral chakra symptoms include problems with sexual and reproductive issues, urinary problems, kidney dysfunctions, hip, pelvic, and lower back pain, and feelings affecting commitment to relationships, our identity to express our emotions, our ability to have fun, play based on desires, creativity, pleasure, and sexuality, and fears of impotence and betrayal, and addictions. So if any of that sounds familiar, or you are also intuitively drawn to the orange crystal, then this one is for you. So we have first quarter moon in Libra. Keep your heart open. Sometimes it can be easy to shut down when things are difficult. And this chakra in particular, I know as a woman, can be, not obviously excluding men or anything, but I know that there can be a lot of trauma that can be blocking this chakra. A lot of people have issues with this chakra as well as the root chakra. And that obviously affects a lot of things. Let me just, pop the ticker on. So sometimes when we're dealing with all of that, the deep trauma work that can affect us this way, sometimes we shut our heart down, and when we do that, we're shutting down this chakra as well. So rather than disassociating or denying or anything like that, the best way right now, particularly to heal the sacred chakra, is to keep our heart open and to listen to it. As we had in the readings before and in the monthly zodiac last time, our heart is our greatest teacher right now. And it also means that there's emotional work to be done. I'm certainly experiencing that and seeing other people experiencing that too. So while we're doing that work, we have to make sure that we're not shutting down our most vital connection here in our heart, in order to do the work that's going to heal the sacral chakra right now. So it's important to remember that, because quite often these different chakras have interrelationships as well. And if you shut down your heart, it's very hard to be creative, because it's almost like the spark, the creative spark, it doesn't have enough fuel to ignite. Um, and it could be that right now for our healing, that we're needing that energy, that heart energy, to really work with the sacral chakra right now. So that is the sacral chakra. So let's hide that. Oh, press the wrong one. Sorry. The next one is the solar plexus. Let's move this up. So the solar plexus chakra symptoms include problems with the digestive system, liver dysfunction, chronic fatigue, which I didn't know. I thought that was interesting. High blood pressure. Oh, I see we have a chat. Okay. Yes. Hi, Mina. So I'm in the middle of a large spread here, but if you hang on to the end, I'll do a very quick reading. So if you can hang on, I'll do you a love reading, no problem. Okay. All right. No problems about being you. Oh, and hi, Trisha. Hi. Yeah, I'm finding that new people are coming in towards the end. So so you're from, yeah, okay. I'm gonna put the chat display on a little bit. Oh, okay. It doesn't show. It's just in comments. Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you, Trishna. Sorry, and Mina. And I'm working my way through a chakra reading right now. This is for everybody, so it applies to you. And I'll show you the crystal for each chakra, and you can see if it resonates with you, like you're drawn to it or not. Normally at the beginning, I show you them all, and then you can see which ones are drawn to you. But then I'm also going to put the symptoms for each chakra when there's an imbalance, so you can see if that resonates with you as well. So I'm just about to do the solar plexus now. And if you watch your replay, you can get the other two. Okay. And then if you wait, Trishna, you can get a reading. But I'll finish the spread first. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for waiting. So we're going to go on to the solar plexus now. So I'm going to just bring up the symptoms. So the solar plexus chakra symptoms include problems with the digestive system, liver dysfunction, chronic fatigue, high blood pressure, diabetes, stomach ulcers, pancreas and gallbladder issues, and colon diseases. And it can affect our feelings with our personal power and our willpower, our self-esteem, our inner critic, fears of rejection, criticism, and physical appearance. So the solar plexus chakra is this yellow crystal here. You can see if that if you're drawn to that or not, or if any of those symptoms sound like you. And the card we get is first quarter moon in Sagittarius. Believe in your good luck. So we have that card here. And we've had a few cards actually this evening about trust and being open to miracles and opportunities. And how did it phrase it here again? To your good luck. Yes. So I think if we have an issue with the solar plexus right now, or you're just drawn to the crystal, so the message applies to you anyway. I think we need to be willing to attract good things to us. Sometimes we can get so stuck in the idea that only terrible things happen to me, and that's what we end up attracting, or we frame things in a negative way, sort of not thinking about it, and that's what we end up attracting. I learned a long time ago that the brain doesn't necessarily, the subconscious, it doesn't necessarily hear the words not and don't. So if you frame things in a negative way and you take the not or the don't out, that's what you're getting. So Google, for example, Google's famous, I'm not sure of the exact wording, but they used to have a tagline, something like, don't be evil. So if you take the don't out, your subconscious is getting be evil. So really framing things is important. But getting back to the main point, believing that good fortune can come to us is important, because otherwise we're holding this tension, like we're walking on eggshells, like just waiting for the next disaster or bad thing to happen, right? So I'm feeling like our solar plexus as a collective is needing right now is to believe that good things are possible and that we deserve them. So that's very interesting. Mm. And also because this card, this chakra is about our willpower, what we are will into existence, what we are willing to do. So if we can use our will and our energy and our personal power to attract positive, because we're focusing on that and we're working on any blocks or anything that might be in our way in learning to receive that, because we're willing to believe in the idea that good luck can come to us, then we can attach our personal power, our willpower into that and make it so. So, all right, so now we're going on to the heart chakra. And the heart chakra crystal is this light green one here. So you can see if that resonates with you. And I'm going to just move the ticker over to the heart chakra. There we go. Okay. So the heart chakra symptoms when there's an imbalance include problems with asthma, heart disease, lung disease, issues with breasts, lymphatic systems, upper back and shoulder problems, arm and wrist pain, and feelings and emotions affecting issues of the heart. So over loving to the point of suffocation, jealousy, abandonment issues, anger, bitterness, and fear of loneliness. So that's the symptoms there. So let's have a look what the card has to say. So we get new moon in Aquarius, open up to change. And we are actually, I'm not sure what the date is, but I'm sure there's got to be a new moon coming up in Aquarius, I think, soon. Or perhaps I think it's maybe this weekend or something. I have to look up the date. So this is actually quite pertinent, and it's the heart chakra. We've been having a lot of heart messages, and this is the relationship special. So I think that's quite pertinent. So opening up to change. So I think with any issues we're having with the heart right now, or if you were just drawn to this chakra crystal intuitively, sometimes we can get rigid and want to stick to the familiar because it feels safe. And sometimes actually what we really need is to shake things up and change and being open to receive. It's one thing to believe that we are worth having good luck in our lives. It's another thing to actually open up the space and be willing to let that thing actually come in for the changes necessary to make it happen. Because we can want something, we can even need something, but sometimes we resist the things that actually get us there. If you were watching the previous reading that I did, there was one about detours. Sometimes life takes us on detours and we don't realize it, but it's helping us get prepared, or it's helping us learn things or get things or make connections that can get us where we want, but it may look like a detour, right? Or going backwards. So opening to change, it takes some courage, and that's a very heart-based thing as well. And I think that when we let change in, it can be very transformative, and it can bring things up. It can be that the process of accepting change is a catalyst for us releasing things, which then opens up even more space for whatever the next step is, right? But we have to allow that first step to happen. And if we don't, we're going to be repeating the same patterns. We're not going to get our heart satisfied. If you're dissatisfied in any way with your situation, and that's persistent, sometimes we have days where we're just like, oh, but if you're persistently unsatisfied with the situation, then there's something that will need to change eventually. Sometimes the change is just in the attitude, in our understanding, and sometimes it requires radical change. And that's going to depend on the situation and what feels right, and what it's time for in your life. But until we're at that point where we're willing to change, things don't happen. In the same way that sometimes we need to hit rock bottom and realize this way is just not working before we're like, okay, something has to change because I'm not doing this anymore. Then, boom, the universe aligns and everything starts falling into place. And when that happens, it's usually putting you on a much more aligned path, particularly on the long term. Sometimes you've got some stuff to work through first, but it's that moment of no. It's actually being willing to change in ourselves, actually accepting that first of all there has to be a change, and then the actual change can happen. So it can be within ourselves, within our heart, allowing that to come and accepting that's what needs to happen. Sometimes something needs to change and you have no idea how you're going to get there, but you just know it's got to change now. And then you'll find the universe supports you. But until you get to that point, you're just torn between what's not working and what you're not willing to face. So, yeah. Okay. So that's the heart chakra. Now we're going to move to the throat chakra. So the throat chakra symptoms include problems with thyroid issues, sore throats, laryngitis, TMG, which is to do with the jaw. I can't remember the exact words for that. Ear infections, ulcers, facial problems such as the chin, the cheek, lips, and tongue problems, neck and shoulder pain, feelings affecting self-expression through communication, both spoken and written, fear of no power or choice, no willpower, or being out of control. So the throat chakra crystal is this blue one here. So you can see if that resonates with you, or if any of those symptoms sound familiar. So the advice we're getting is, first quarter moon in Aries, step into your power. Very interesting. Yeah. With the throat chakra, I found is that a lot of issues come from not being able to speak our minds. And a lot of that is us giving our power away to a situation or to people. So it could be that when we're with certain people, we hold back. It could be that we're in a situation where we don't have enough confidence in ourselves, so we allow ourselves to be overridden by other people. Or depending on the dynamic, for example, if you're in a work situation, it could be hierarchical issue, so you feel like you can't speak out because somebody above you is making a decision and that's the way it is, or whatever the case may be. But when we're not in our power, and we're not able to communicate from that place, then we quite often get throat chakra issues, and I've certainly experienced that. So when you step into your power, maybe when you've made a change, big change, when you step into your power, when you start making steps that are coming from your deep, authentic self, and you're not willing to compromise, you're going to start finding yourself communicating about it. Because first of all, you're communicating to yourself the way you think about it, the way you're framing it to yourself. You start there. And then maybe you start speaking about it to others, as a good friend or a family member or whoever the case may be. Because once you're coming from your own place of power, it becomes very easy to actually, or it becomes easier. I know that speaking is very difficult for some people. It's, and particularly if you've got to speak in front of people, that's a big scary thing for people, to put themselves in this place, but when we step in our power and at least make some small steps, even if it's just the way we frame things to ourselves, then we can start healing the throat chakra. The throat chakra, I see it as a problem with a lot of people, because I think this is a place that very easily gets shut down. People are not allowed to voice their words. And that's not even getting into places about censorship or, abuse or anything like that. Um, so if you're having issues with the throat chakra, maybe examine where you are giving your power away, where you're not speaking yourself. And if you are in a situation where it's just not possible, it's not tenable, maybe give yourself a way to express it another way. Perhaps write it down, perhaps speak it into a phone, or go into a empty room and speak it out loud as if you're talking to a good friend, because that's going to be better than nothing. Um, and quite often when we allow ourselves that space to do that, even if it's just a moment here and there, that builds momentum. And sometimes that can allow you personal time to reflect, because sometimes we don't really realize what we feel until it sort of spills out of our mouth, or onto the page, or however we express it. So I would seriously examine where it is that you're not using your voice, and where you're giving your power away to people and situations, and see is there something I can do about that, because it could be that you're giving your power away in a way that's not necessarily a verbal communication issue. Could be committed to something that you didn't want to, or it could be, any number of things. But if you look at where the little ways in which we may give our power away, see if you can find one small step where you can reduce that, or make a positive, empowering move for yourself. It might just be saying no to somebody. How many of us say yes and be people pleasers, right? You might just simply say, no, I can't do that right now, but thanks for thinking of me, or whatever the case may be. So there's probably a lot of ways in which this could affect us, and where we could actually make some headway. And when you start making that, those steps, they start snowballing, and you find yourself doing it more and more, until you get to a place where you're willing to speak your mind in any situation. So that's the throat chakra. And Aries, by the way, is about action. It's very much about action. So taking steps of action towards reclaiming your power and your voice. So, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the third eye. And let's just bring up the symptoms first. Okay, so the third eye chakra symptoms include problems with headaches, blurred vision, sinus issues, eye strain, seizures, hearing loss, and hormone infunction. So this could also affect our feelings and emotions, through moodiness, volatility, self-reflection, and an inability to look at one's fears and to learn from others, daydreaming, living in a world with exaggerated imagination. Yeah. So this is the crystal that is for the third eye. So see if that resonates with you, or if any of those symptoms do. And then this card is for you. So we have New Moon in Pisces, attuned to the divine. So our attention needs to go towards the divine, whether you call that the Great Spirit, God, the universe, source, the creator, however you connect to that. This is where we need to go to resolve our chakra symptoms. It's very easy to get distracted in all of this. This is a world of distraction that we're in. And sometimes what we need to do is just tune that out and then tune in here. And quite often we don't give ourselves enough time to do that. Prioritizing the physical over the spiritual. So if we want to clear issues, particularly right now with the third eye chakra, then find ways to connect, whether that is meditating, whether that's grounding on the earth, whether that's going for a walk on the beach or the forest, whether that's doing sound healing, whether that is doing listening to specific music or dancing or drumming, whatever it is that helps you tune into that, particularly that alpha state, and just allow the mind to rest a little and to just feel what's coming through from the inside. Maybe slow it down a little. Maybe create some sacred space. Maybe go and have a bath or connect with a dear friend who has that ability to ground you, center you, or remind you to center, more like. So build time for that in your life if you want to work with this, because the physical's not the only side to reality. And if we're constantly focused on this end of things, then we've got no room and attention for this. And so consider how you could show a commitment to that side of yourself. You know, that a very long time ago, I made a commitment to every Sunday, I'm going to have a 2-hour bath. I'm going to start my day with a 2-hour bath, not deal with anything. I'm going to start my day with a 2-hour bath. And at the time, I wouldn't listen to any music or anything like that. I would just tune in. And that's when a lot of my intuitive abilities came back, because I actually shut them down for a long time because of a lot of traumatic experiences, which is a long story I won't get into. But that's committing to that time allowed me some quiet time, allowed the ego to settle down, the mind to settle down. And then things started to channel through. And water's great because water helps to is a great conduit and helps to amplify messages coming through. So that I definitely consider a bath or something to do with water if you can. That's why I think also when we used to wash up dishes before we got dishwashers, ideas would suddenly come to us because we're actually dealing with water, right? So yeah. But whatever works for you and your situation, examine how can I get another 5, 10 minutes, hour into my day or my week, whatever it is that you can realistically do. How can I, when I'm having a break, tune in? Because we all have breaks from time to time. If I'm not, communicating with someone, if I'm actually alone, what can I do? Can I close my eyes? Can I slow my breathing? Can I go look at some trees? Or whatever it is, Are there things that I can do in my environment, like bringing in more crystals, more stones, more shells, more feathers, all high vibrational things? Can I create a space so that even when I am having to focus on other things, the energy is supporting me and reminds me to come back when I can? So that's what I feel like from this card here about our third eye. And also maybe pay attention to what is the difference? How does it feel different? When I'm in that centered space, how does that feel different? So that you can observe when you're out of it. And maybe when you're too out of it and you're getting overwhelmed. So that you can know when you need to take a break and bring yourself back. All right. So the last one is the crown chakra. You can see me in it. And that is represented by this piece of amethyst there. It's hard to really make out the purple, but it is a bit purple. So if this crystal speaks to you, or any of these symptoms do. So here's the crown chakra symptoms. And they include problems with depression, inability to learn, sensitivity to light, sound, and the environment, feelings affecting self-knowledge and greater power, rigid thoughts on religion and spirituality, constant confusion, carrying prejudices, analysis paralysis, and fear of alienation. So if any of that sounds familiar or that particular crystal called to you, then this reading is for you. So we get last quarter moon in Leo, lighten up. So there we go. Sometimes we take things too seriously. We forget to have fun. We forget to celebrate the little wins. And sometimes we need to just take a moment to chill out, or to even plan in ways to enjoy ourselves. Sometimes we just get stuck in working hard and forgetting to play a little bit. So so right now, if you're having crown chakra issues, consider ways that you can lighten your load, so to have a bit of fun, but also how you can lighten your vibration. If we're getting really stuck in the deep fear-based stuff down here, then it's very dense, it's very difficult, to work through. So oh, hey, Queen of Sheba, it's nice to see you back. I'm good, thank you. It's been quite an amazing day with the tarot. I'm just going to finish this reading, and then anybody who's still here, I can do a little quick reading for you. Okay. So let me just remind myself where I was. Oh yeah, lighten up. So doing the things that help to lighten our vibration, and this kind of comes back to attuning to divine as well, because quite often they're overlapping. So if you're finding that this is an issue for you, the crown chakra, then what helps you get into a high vibrational state? Is it listening to some music? Is it dancing? Is it doing something creative? Is it having some friends over and having a laugh? Is it going into nature? Do you need to go and do something completely different and just be open to experimentation? Whatever it is, what helps to lighten your mood? What helps to lighten the atmosphere around you? And examine that. And this was in Leo. So yeah, particularly have some fun. Yeah, I think so. Because sometimes when we are fun, we're having fun and we're not thinking about things too much, and we're just allowing the moment to be. It's almost like a grace can come through us in a way that we hadn't thought about before. Just little moments of the divine coming through, or we see it in someone else's eyes as they talk about something, or an experience we weren't expecting, or something like that, a turn of events, things like that. So creating a high vibrational experience or space for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a practice. It can be just learning to find ways to lighten your load as you move through in life, All right. So that is the chakra reading. So I was going to stop here, but I can see we have had some questions. I don't know if everybody is still there. So I would ask, if you asked me if you wanted a reading earlier when I was doing this, and you still want a reading, if you could just put another comment in the chat. And this could be a question about relationships. It could be a general reading or some other question. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Charlotte. Yes, you can get a reading. That's great. So what I'm going to do is, because normally I stop here, I take a photo. I'm just going to take a moment to take a photo of this, and then I'm going to move it, and then we'll do a few quick readings for you. Okay. So I'm just going to put the Be Right Back sign up so you don't see a blank screen for a minute, and I'll be right back in just a moment. Sorry, did not do that right. I'm back. Okay, so I'm just going to pop everything away so we have a bit of room. So let's have a look in the chat. I'm going to just put the chat overlay up for any more questions we come in. So, Charlotte, yeah, I'll get to your reading first, and then Diane, hi from South Africa, great. And you want a reading as well? Okay, so I'll do a quick reading for you too, and if anybody else comes up, then we'll have a look at you as well. And if you could let me know if you just want a general reading, a relationship reading, or something else, that would be great. But if I don't hear from you, I'll just do a general reading. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna bring that forward a bit. Bring all my decks. Let's see which ones call me. Go the right around. All right. Okay. So the first one is so we've got Charlotte. Okay. Okay, so Charlotte, you want a general reading. Okay. And the Queen of Sheba, you're here as well. Okay. If you want a reading, just confirm and I'll do you too. All right. But it's good to see you, Queen of Sheba. I remember you from last time. So, Charlotte, a general reading. Okay. So, let's see which one is calling me. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull one oracle card and then maybe a couple of tarot cards. And the moon deck's calling me again, so I'm going to do that one. Okay, so a general reading for Charlotte. No. Cool. No. Sometimes it's not easy to tell when it's time to stop. And Charlotte, I listen to my gut when it tells me to stop, and I just keep shuffling until I get the signal. So sometimes it takes a while, sometimes it's super quick. So there we go. And 3. Okay. Okay. So Charlotte, let's see what the Moonology deck. Okay, so we get first quarter moon Virgo, assess the situation. So this suggests to me that you've got some situation that's ongoing right now that needs looking at. And maybe figuring out which way you're going to go. Now, I feel immediately like I need to take 2 more clarifying cards from the tarot deck just to get some. Oh, let me just change the caption so we don't have the crown chakra overlay on. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, I see, Queen Sheba. I think I missed one of your messages. Yeah, okay. I'll do you. Sorry, I didn't. I got you out of order, but I will get to you if you just wait. Okay, cool. So let me just take a couple more clarifying cards for Charlotte. All right. All right. So, okay, interesting. So, first card up was the Knight of Pentacles, and then we've got the Hermit. So, Just going to bring this here and bring it back a little bit so I can see it. So this suggests to me that you've been assessing the situation carefully from a distance, perhaps being quite cautious and prudent. And I think that's been quite wise for you to do so. But I feel like I want to pull two more. I mean, these are very positive cards, so I feel like you're going to actually have. I think you're going to make a wise decision, is what I think this is coming to, and I think you've had to carefully, or you're being asked to carefully look at it. And it's probably something that's physical. So this could be something that's to do with, you know, your home or something like that. But it's also because you've got the hermit here. It could also be quite spiritual as well. And then it says this is in Virgo, right? Yeah. So Virgo is very much about the details and our health and our everyday routines. So it could also be that it's something to do with that you do every day, like your job or something else. So that you're assessing. But I feel like I want to pull two more, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so we get. I'm just going to hold these. First one was the Chariot, and then we got the Surrender card, so the Ten of Swords. So I think you're being required to maybe take a situation is over, or the time for putting up with what needs to change is coming to an end, and it's time to take the action and move forward. And it may happen very quickly, actually. But make sure, trust that your inner guidance, your inner wisdom is going to put you on the right path. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm getting from this reading. I hope that helps, Charlotte, and let us know in the chat if that helps or if there's some clarifying piece of information that might help make better sense of this reading. But yeah, so I'm going to go with that for now. So let's see who is next. It's nice to see so many people in the chat. So let's see. Oh, hi, Annalise. Yeah, we can do a general reading for you. Okay, great, Charlotte. I'm glad it does help. Okay, that's really good. It really helps me to know if we're on the right track. Because sometimes when you do a general reading, you're not entirely sure what it's about, particularly if you don't know the person. So it really helps to get feedback. So let's see who was next after Charlotte. So then we had Diana. And then I'll get to you, Queen of Shuma. Promise you, you're next. So yeah, so Diane. All right. So which deck calls to me? I think actually the Spirit Animal. Okay, so you want a reading too. I'll just make sure you wanted a general. Yeah. Okay, no extra information. Okay, Diane. So let's get a reading for you. Oh, I'm getting some tingling in my feet. That's interesting. Like something's releasing. And it's on the left side, so maybe something feminine, spiritual. Now it's past, so perhaps. I don't know if that relates in any way, but I just got that. All right, so let's just see. General reading for Diane. Yeah, that's fine. Wow. I don't know what it is, but I keep getting do 4 cuts. So it started happening recently, but it's just like, okay. All right, so let's just start with the Oracle card and then see what else we might get, what else we might need. So, okay, so we've got the Seahorse Spirit, and it says, watch and wait. So you might be in an opposite situation to Charlotte there, in that perhaps you're wanting to do something, or you're feeling um, perhaps emotionally driven to do something, and maybe you're being asked to just take a step back for a moment and see what happens, because maybe something's about to happen that you're not expecting. Um, it could also be that something is going on with you right now where you just need a moment to perhaps regroup and recenter. Um, but I'm going to just take some more cards and see horse. Um, and it's a water animal. So this could be quite emotional. Your situation, but let's see. Okay, let's see what else the cards can give us. Okay. No way. Okay, I did shuffle these guys, but you got the exact same two cards as Charlotte. Okay. They got pulled actually in the opposite direction, so we actually got the Hermit first, and then so I think saying it would be really wise to wait right now, just a moment. I don't even think it's going to be very long. It would be prudent to just take a moment, either to regroup. Perhaps you're shaken right now, because I'm feeling shaky. Perhaps something is shaking you right now, and the energy makes you want to resolve something. But actually, it would be better to just focus on yourself for a little bit and regroup. Because I'm feeling whatever this is charged, and this can either be something really emotional, or perhaps you're dealing with a difficulty integrating intense energies right now as well. It could be something like that, because that's really what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a kind of feeling. It could also be something where perhaps something. It doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It could be something like unexpected that's happened, that's positive, but it surprised you. Um, and it could be that you're like wanting to go rearing ahead into it, but you just need to take a moment to catch your breath, and to just make sure that you're going to put your energy in the right direction. Um, yeah, I don't feel like I need to take any more cards for that. Um, I think that whatever this energy is that I'm feeling, it doesn't feel. It either feels like you've released something emotionally, and like when you've had a good cry, and it feels you feel a bit worn out, but you feel really good because you've got it out of your system, right? It has that feeling to it, but it could also be something that surprised you or excited you, um, but it's a little bit amped up. So I think you need to do some grounding. I think you need to do some grounding. Maybe take some time for yourself. Maybe get into some nature. Yeah, my body's calming down now as soon as I said that. So I think you need to do some grounding work. Do some do something that's gonna help you maybe come back down, integrate the energies. Not that I'm saying you shouldn't be in a good vibration, but yeah, I think you just need to do some grounding. And then while you're doing that, when you find your center again, maybe something is just going to click into place, or an idea is going to come to you, or just a slight reflame or something that's going to make you go, oh, I'm just glad I waited that extra day or that extra week or whatever it was. I don't think it's a long time. I think it's just enough for you to ground whatever it is you're processing right now or letting go of. I hope that helps. All right. Okay, so let's do the next one. That was the Queen of Sheba. So we'll just put your name up, even though it was a specific question that you did. So, Queen of Sheba, let's just have a look. And Diane, if you're still there, if that helps, please let me know. And if you're not, then I just ask that Spirit guides you back to looking at this so you can see that reading, because I think it was really important for you. Okay, so Queen of Sheba, let's see. Oh, I'm still feeling that. Wow. Okay, I'm still getting the Spirit Animal Oracle deck, so I'm going to start there. Okay, I need to do some grounding actually just before I continue. I've got these wonderful crystals that are grounding that my good friend Annalise gave me. That's the other thing you could do, Diane. Get yourself some grounding crystals. Oh my God. I can't remember off the top of my head what these are called, but if you look into it, you get some good ones, so you're drawn to. It's amazing what they can do. And stay hydrated. All right, Queen of Sheba, you've been waiting for ages. Come on, let's do this. All right, so what does the Queen of Sheba need to know right now? And breathe. Okay, there we go. And another 4. Okay. So, Queen of Sheba, let's see. Oh, we had this morning in the weekly reading that I do. So this is the Scarab Beetle Spirit, and it means magic works through you. So I think you're being reminded right now that you are a magical and powerful being. And that whatever the situation is that perhaps you have in the back of the mind, or this might be resonating with, is to remember that you are a powerful being that's able to attract and naturally dance your way into situations and opportunities and connections and relationships that you want to bring into your life. Miracles. So I think you're being reminded to remember that those things are possible. But I'm going to just do a couple of clarifying just to see what else it can tell us. That was it, apparently. Interesting. I was really wondering if I was going to get the Hermit and the Knight of Pentacles again. We did get a Knight. We got the Knight of Wands. So that's much more spiritual rather than physical. And then we got the Emperor. So I think you are being asked to summon your spiritual warrior energy right now, Queen of Sheba, and to perhaps take action on something that not necessarily something that you've been putting off, but maybe it's like putting your spiritual warrior into action on something. But it doesn't necessarily, I was going to say it doesn't necessarily mean taking action, but I think with the Emperor, wrong way around. The Emperor, it probably does. So I think you're being called to bring in your magic into something. And I feel like I want to do more, maybe a couple more cards to see what that might be. But the Emperor is like the Aries energy, the Mars energy. That can also be, this is well aspected. but it can be a little bit aggressive. So it could be about standing your ground a little bit, you know. But I think because we've got the scarab beetle um, working your magic, so I think it's more about summoning your spirit into a situation, and knowing that the possibilities are endless, and maybe bringing that attitude into a situation. So I'm not necessarily feeling like you have to like um, kind of march your way into a situation and make it happen. I don't think it's necessarily that case. I think it's over the course of maybe this next year, you're going to be integrating more and more of that into some aspect of your life. But I'm just gonna pull two more because I feel we need some more information here. Okay. Okay. So next card is the death card. So it's like some transition you're going through, like you're probably halfway through a transition, a pretty big one. And we have this card, which is interesting. So it might be that there's something that's hidden, or some aspect of whatever this is that isn't clicking into place yet. Perhaps it could even be about an illness, but um, not necessarily what I'm feeling. What is it I'm feeling? I think to start with, that whatever this transition is, knowing that what you're going to need to make this happen is going to come to you, and that you have the ability to manifest that and co-create that with the universe. And even though something is wrong way around, even though something is hidden, either something's not making sense or you can't quite see a step that makes it seem possible. I think because we've got the scarab beetle here, we'll be reminded that, use your magic, manifest, think about what it is you want, what steps will get you there. And even if it doesn't go that particular way, if you're open to alternative routes, you're going to find yourself there. But something is definitely changing in your life, and I think it's asking you to bring your spiritual nature into that situation, and your spiritual strength, because as a warrior, it's a strong card. So I hope that helps, Sheba. Uh, yeah, see, it could be because we've got this card. Which one? This one here. It could be the situation's maybe not even apparent to you yet. It could be that you're going through a spiritual transformation here, and actually there is some part of the puzzle, some part of the transformation that's not clear yet, but maybe over the last 6 months or so, you have been slowly being prepared for something. So I think maybe what you need to do is evaluate what it is that you might want to change in, and maybe think out the box with it. But let me just see. You did go through a breakup. I'm halfway healed from that, honestly. Okay. Well, the death card is usually when you're halfway through a transition. Okay. Is it a good or bad change? I mean, from these cards, I would say it's a good change. It might be that, and I think actually with this card, that it's going to give you spiritual strength, even if it's difficult right now. And with this, with the scarab beetle, I guess it depends on how you're feeling about the situation and how you're feeling about maybe a new relationship. It could be about being open to the magic of healing, or the magic of bringing what you want that you didn't get before, or if it's the other way around, having somebody who is with you. I mean, I don't know the situation details, but I get the feeling that right now, because it's quite recent, you still got a ways to go on this initial phase of your dealing with it process, shall we say. and you may not be in a place to really see what you're getting out of the situation from a spiritual perspective. And now that I think about it, now it's a relationship, was it with a man? Because I'm curious, because this could be representing the man here, actually. But I think with the scarab beetle, magic works through you, which is a very spiritual card as well. I think maybe this happened for a reason, because there is something coming it doesn't necessarily mean in 6 months, but it could be that once you go through this initial healing, you're going to go into a phase that may get you to another situation. But I think you're being asked to remember that maybe even trust that there is a reason for this, why this is happening right now. Maybe you can't see it, or maybe it feels like it's devastating and you can't heal from it, or whatever the case may be. But I'm not getting. I feel this is going to be a positive change for you in the long run. It's going to lead you to something perhaps more magical, or is going to allow you opportunities that you didn't think were possible, or even gives you the space to be more magical, to be more yourself, to bring more of your spiritual side through as well. I hope that helps, Queen of Sheba. Okay. All right. So who was next on the list? Let's see. So we have Queen of Sheba. Let's hide this one. Then there was Annalise. You'd like to have a general. Okay. So. Yeah, let's see. And you're always welcome to come back in 6 months, Sheba, and see where you're at and get another reading, or even before then, right? But it's good to check in with these things, every now and then, particularly when it's big, long changes, and just see how things have shifted, But whatever initial stuff that you're going through now, this initial phase of this change, it's like you're halfway through this particular phase of it. There might be multiple phases. Sometimes it can be dealing with the initial shock, and then opening up to the idea of, and then actually embracing something new. So it depends on the situation. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd love to check in with you in 6 months and before then if you want. So yeah, it'd be great. All right, so let's see. Okay, great. I'll see you then. You're welcome every week or every other week, because we're doing it fortnightly now. Okay, let's go back to, let's see, where was Annalise? Annalise is there. I just want to make sure. Yeah, okay, so Annalise is the next one queued up. So let's see. Trying to see which one is calling me. Okay. I'm getting called to the Major Arcana deck, Annalise, which is interesting in itself, because it means major change. But we know that already, right? All right. So what? Oh, I got this the right way around. Yeah. Okay. So what is the archetypal energy affecting you right now, and at least generally? Okay. So you want me to do 4 on such a small deck. All right. Oh, interesting. We get the Emperor again. Different deck, of course. But... So the Emperor is as well as it being sort of the areas of Mars energy, and it's about new things. It's about beginnings. Um, it's an action. Um, it can also be about systems as well. Um, and I know that that could apply in a few ways to your situation. So I'm just gonna start by pulling some clarifying cards. So. All right. Oh, okay. And actually, the Emperor can also be about father figures as well. But we are getting, so the first card up was a disappointment card. So minor setbacks, emotional disappointment. But then we get the breakthrough card, the Four of Wands. I'm wondering if this is about dealing with the systems that you're dealing with right now. I think the situation has been very disappointing. But I think you're at a point now where it's like there's not too many hoops left to jump. And then you're going to have the breakthrough that you finally need, the resolution that you finally need. I think that, that's going to require some action, Emperor. There's still some work to be done. But it's not too much now. And I think the cards just want to remind you that I know it's taken so much effort to get to where you're at now, and that whatever is left may still take a bit from you emotionally, but it's not going to be a whole lot more. So yeah, you're going to have resolution soon, is how I would see this. It's a hard slog that you've been through. So just hang in there. I don't feel I need to take another card. I feel that that's where it, needs to be. So that's where I would say you're at right now, Annalise. So yeah, okay. All right. Well, unless anybody else has any quick questions or desire for a general reading, then I'm going to close for this evening. It's been really wonderful having so much participation this evening. I'm noticing that people are coming on normally once I'm about an hour in. So I'm willing to stay that little bit longer if that's when people find it a bit easier. But if you missed the beginning, do go back and watch the readings I did. I did 2 questions of general readings about relationships, and then I did the big chakra reading, and I was very pleased with the way they came out. And I think I've noticed that these readings have helped me, and I've seen some other people comment that way. So definitely check those out. There's a few little bits of housekeeping. If you had some issues with the chakra readings that you want to work with, because something really resonated and you can see that there needs to be some issue, as well as the things that I talked about in the reading itself. I'm just going to take this down so I don't have Annalise's reading there while I talk about this. Then there's also another option. So I started, I think it was late last year, running a sound healing group, and I work with chakra tonal sound healing, and it's a group where I hold space for us to work through the energies and get them any issues with the chakras moving again. It's a great way to work with them. So if you are interested in working with it, I recommend that you check out the following webpage. I'll just find it for you. It's called Frequency Fridays. You can go to this page and you can read about it. I do recommend people read it because there's a lot of useful information for things that you should know about how they work. One of the main things to be noted is that the way this group works is we are on a 3 weekly rotational basis. So on 1 week we deal with the lower chakras, 1 week we deal with the middle chakras, and 1 week we deal with the high chakras, and then we repeat. And so it's really important to know that. And I'm only ever going to advertise the sound and healing group in tarot or anywhere else when the base chakras are coming up, because that's the best place to start if you're new or you haven't been doing it for a while, or whatever the case may be. So it's the sort of entry point for the next 3 weeks. Even if it turns out you can't do a week beyond that, this is the starting point. So this is where new people should certainly come. So you can check out that website. I'll also show you what the page looks like. Just give me a moment. Brave tab. So here's the website. Let me just go to it here. There we go. It is on Fridays, and that's 4 p.m. UK, 5 p.m. Central European Time, and 11 a.m. Eastern. And it's done over Zoom. You can just click here to join. And whenever you want to know when the next one is for either the 3 sets of tones, you can come to the bottom here and it tells you the dates for each one. And I give you the next 2 dates so that you have some idea. But all of this information here about, what is it, who is it for, the practical stuff, and then what to expect, what we actually do in the session is all here. It's free at the point of entry, although gifts are welcome. And it's incredibly powerful stuff. It really does work. So if anybody's interested in that and wants to do some work on the chakras based on what they had today in a reading, then you're very welcome to join us this Friday. Okay, and then just for anybody who just wants to find my website again, it is here. Choose to play big. And it's been wonderful hanging out with you guys today, and thank you so much for showing up, and for anybody who watches the replay, and I hope you get a lot out of it. I sure did. So bye everybody.